I'm really excited about this next talk because these my people for real, like real life, like, yep. So anybody excited to talk about the new age Black experience? Y'all not excited? It's not Wakanda enough in here for me. That's weird. We're gonna try this again. Because Charles, I'm not bringing you up here until we're in the land, okay? Is anybody excited about the new age Black experience? Yeah, that's better. Thank you. All right. So this conversation is led by my good friend Charles Kuykendoll. Go ahead, Charles. Go ahead. Come on, do your walk. Come on, I'm gonna bring you up. And then my brother is on this as well, Mr. Ryan Wilson of the Gathering Spot. Go ahead, you can clap. Come on now.
Y'all can clap. Get your energy up now.
And then we have Dr. Lakeisha Hallman, aka Dr. Key of the Village Market and the Village Retail. And last but certainly not least, where's Rashaad Lambert? You see, you got to pull it out of him, Charles. But I saw you dance last night, so I know what you about to do. I sure did.
I'm trying to leave that guy last night.
You got it.
Shout out AB. Give it up one more time. Amazing host. It's not easy getting up here in front of 200 of y'all and getting y'all to laugh and smile. How y'all doing? My name is Charles Kuykendoll. I lead global talent brand at Stripe during the day. By night, CEO founder R&B House Party. If you were there last night, you know the vibe. Stop playing with me. But we're gonna leave that. We're gonna leave that with yesterday. And I'm here with this esteemed panel. We'll start right here with Ryan, who's the CEO, co-founder of the Gathering Spot and A3C Festival. You all have seen him. Dr. Key, CEO, founder of the Village Market ATL. And then my boy Rashaad Lambert, founder of Forbes The Culture, the Black Excellence Society, and former SEVP at Forbes. Can y'all give it up for them? I'm really excited to put them on a hot seat. You know, when I lead panels, I really want to have people take something away from the conversation. And so when we thought about who was going to be on the panel, I said, hey, I actually had something else planned. I said, we're going to do the New Age Black experience because you all are like the embodiment of like ownership, founding, but you all didn't start your own business from birth, right? You all went through, had careers, and then made a shift and a pivot. And as I thought through that, and as myself being a founder as well, it's like, the way in which our parents grew up, staying at one job for 30 years, having a fire retirement party, the parties was fire. I don't know if you've ever been to one. Then just moving on, that's not what it looks like anymore. So to start us off, everyone's career journey is different. At what point along your path did you decide that entrepreneurship and ownership was in your future as opposed to solely being an employee? Let's start with you.
I'm so excited to be up here with y'all, first and foremost. I can tell you the date. It was July 13th, 2013. I was sitting at a law office in Buckhead. I wanted to be an attorney my entire life. I had an office. It was amazing, truly. And there was a tweet. Someone asked Jay-Z, what's the best piece of entrepreneurial advice that you have? And he tweeted back, don't listen to anyone, everyone's scared. Mm-hmm. And I had this idea that summer that just kept kind of sticking with me. I didn't know what to do with it, but I read that tweet, and I was like, I'm scared. But I shouldn't be, I guess. And the next day, I sent an email, and I'm glad this was all recorded. I sent an email to my co-founder, TK, who's somewhere
What up,
there.
TK? We saw you.
And he had been my roommate in undergrad. He saw the email, we started working. So that was 10 years ago. This is my 10th summer working on something, we didn't know what to call it at that point. It was just like thing, but that thing became the Gathering Spot.
That's amazing. Dr. Key.
So first, I'm so excited to be here and to get to share this space with people I love and admire. But I began my career as a high school teacher, and then I transitioned to education research and evaluation specialist, long title. Only thing that means that for the Georgia Department of Education, I spent a great deal of time looking at data, looking at evaluation, and thinking about how to improve school systems for Black and brown kids. I loved it. I was deeply passionate by it, and the reason why I say that, because you can love something and be called to something else. I got the bug for entrepreneurship, I believe it was 2015, and it just would not leave me alone. I was like, what is this vision that I'm having? Because my aspiration was to own hundreds of charter schools all over the world. Even that summer in 2015, I spent time in China helping them build curriculum, culturally relevant curriculum in Dongguan, China. So got the vision for the Village Market. I was like, I don't know what to do with this. the vision kept coming to create this safe space, this environment for Black entrepreneurs to prosper. The thing about a vision, and if you're meant to do it, it would nag you to death. And you would keep being bugged until you do it. So I got the vision and the aspiration to really get going in 2016. I started to build the Village Market step by step, met great people like Ryan, who I launched the Gathering Spot a month before I launched the Village Market. Did you know that? See, here we go. And I got it going. And so 7 years now, I've been able to build this incredible village and community for Black entrepreneurs. What started in Atlanta and now has sprawled across the United States, and I'm very fortunate.
That's amazing, Rashaad.
Wait, first of all, hold up, all right, I just want to make sure that y'all was still awake. And my mom's retirement party was fire too, by the way, mad fire. So mine came November 4th, 2008. Anybody know why that date is significant?
I felt like financial crisis times.
No, before that. Nah, don't put that on my man, Barack Obama was elected president that night. That was my first foray into corporate America, and that night is when I decided that I was actually going to leave. I worked in marketing. I don't name the company, but I worked for a company at that time, and I had reached what I call, people talk about the glass ceiling, but I have reached what I call the black ceiling, right? So I think the difference between the glass ceiling and black ceiling is that when you reach the glass ceiling, you can see that there are things above you that you're not able to reach, right? But when you reach the black ceiling, you don't actually know what's up there. You just know you're not getting there. And that night, I'll be transparent. If this is a safe space? No, it's not a safe space. A lot of cameras. Right, I'll be transparent. I had a party that night called My President is Black. I'm just being honest. At that time, I was working in corporate during the day, and at night I was promoting parties. And I was like, well, I might as well take advantage of this because I have lived in this country my entire life, but did I necessarily believe in the promise of America at that time? No. So did I believe that he was going to win? No, because I know we get excited about these things and then they usually don't go our way. So I'm like, at least I can make some money off of it. And in the midst of it, in the midst of the party, I start seeing the states come in, and I'm from Philly, and then PA came. He took PA, and I was like, oh, he might win this joint. So I walked outside, and I could hear in the distance, like, people were, like, marching. And if you ever been to Philly, I was on, like, Market Street. It's a big, wide street. And there were people, like, walking arm in arm, coming down the street singing, "We have overcome." And I was like, all right, well, that's a step ahead. But now I do want to make a change. So I didn't like jump out the window and then build wings on the way down. I kind of made a plan, and I was like, all right, give me like 6 months and I'll figure out how to get up out of here. And then June 19th of 2009 was my last day that I worked in corporate, and I was a full-time entrepreneur from then until 2020. But yeah.
That's amazing. Give it up for these amazing stories that you all share. And if I could say so myself, you all make entrepreneurship look real good. I see Ryan with his custom merch on. Dr. Key got a lot of gold. And Rashaad, I see the Louis. I see a lot of Louis over there. But I want to ask the question, what are some of the biggest challenges and misconceptions people have about being a founder and an owner? We'll start with you, Dr. Key.
Some of the challenges is that when you are the first to do something, you're the first. So you're the one that get all the punches and the bruises and sometimes the war wounds. I think the more we know that that is just a part of the journey, the easier the journey is. It doesn't mean that the licks don't hurt and that the scrapes don't hurt. They do, but you're going first. And the beauty about going first, though, is that you clear a path for the next person. And so I think what the misconception is about being a founder is the understanding that many of us have chosen to work together. We often hear in our communities that we don't work together. That is not true. So many of us have figured out how to join arms to really make sure that our individual companies are doing well, but it flows back to the community. And I think those stories need to be told more. But for those entrepreneurs in this space, I want you all to know that if it's difficult, that's normal. If you question yourself, we all have. If you've had some very humbling moments when you were really in your bag and somebody snatched it right back, we've had those moments. If you had denial after denial after denial in emails, we've had those denials. But guess what? Our yes came. So I'm really hoping that you all make sure that you know that your yes will come if you continue to work hard.
Dr. Key, you preaching, Ryan.
I can't go after Dr. Key.
I'm just saying, I was like,
Look, we talk about this stuff like it's random, and it's not random. This stuff comes from somewhere. I saw something on Instagram a couple weeks ago. They were like, it's spiritual, the businesses that we start. I believe that. I think people see these things happen, and they're like, oh, yeah, I mean, just, your little company. It comes from somewhere. Like, we're all listening to something inside of us that told us that this was the thing we were going to spend a ridiculous number of hours on. So don't approach the work like it's a thing that just happened to, just one idea that just flew by you one day. This stuff is rooted in a thing. And I try to just stay wedded to that because the game, to Dr. Key's point, it gets ugly, right? And you get a lot of no's. I mean, we counted at the beginning, it was 97 straight no's before the first person said yes, we were trying to raise money. So it's ugly, but you've got to get back to the why am I doing this every day piece and know that isn't just something that, on a random Tuesday came to you. It is a manifestation of a lot of experiences and what you truly care about. And the world needs it.
Rashaad.
Biggest misconception, I would say that becoming an entrepreneur makes you carefree and you have all this time and all those things. We've all worked jobs before, and when we know that there was a certain time, even though that, to Ryan's point, that entrepreneurship is a spirit, right? So even before you become an entrepreneur, you have the spirit of an entrepreneur. So you only take jobs and you work them as if it was your company, right? But you can also leave. There's a cutoff time. Like at 5 o'clock, job's over. Or it's Friday now and it's 5 o'clock. At this point, I'll be done. And then my weekend will be all mine, and then I will go back to work Monday, or maybe I'll call out sick. It just doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that when you are an entrepreneur at the early stages. So that's the biggest misconception, is that there's all this freedom and all these things. That may come at a certain point. You might not have to work those specific hours, but there are some days that I'm not working 8 hours, but I'm working 18 hours because of what the nature of the business is, and that's just, so don't believe the hype.
Don't believe the hype. All right, Ryan, this is specifically for you. So we've seen the Gathering Spot expand and experience tremendous growth independently, but we also know the value of expansion through strategic partnership. So talk to us about the acquisition by Greenwood and the cost opportunity analysis and the trade-offs you considered before you and TK move forward.
First, look, we haven't done anything by ourselves. This thing has only happened because a lot of good people made it so. I just talk about the business all the time. I'm looking out here, people have been riding with us for years. Thank you. We wouldn't, if it was just TK and I, that's not that interesting of a journey. To the last point, you get to a point though in the journey where you have to start to look at what thesis are we pursuing from a business perspective, and how do we maximize the opportunity? Long, hard discussion, right? But every entrepreneur should be having it, right? You've got to start, hopefully, understanding what the end could look like. For us, we want to continue to build gathering spots all over the country. And if you know TGS, you know that it is very, very black. So who buys the very, very black thing, right? And I don't want to sell it to just anybody that doesn't understand why we started it. The opportunity about a year ago for us to partner, right, and do something within the context of a company that is focused on black folks, something we had to look at. So I'm not going to sit here and say that it was easy. I'm not going to sit here and say that these decisions should be easy. They shouldn't be. But we decided to try to go build a company at scale focused on our community.
That's amazing. So Dr. Key, you've assisted 1,440 businesses and facilitated $5.3 million of direct sales to black-owned businesses. Can you take us behind the veil for some of these conversations you've had with business owners on the power of collaboration?
Yes, but I want to correct the numbers. $8.2 million we facilitated to black
My
people.
apologies.
There we go.
Talk to him.
Excuse me.
Talk to him.
Now I'm embarrassed. The conversations that I've had with black founders is, number one, about mindset and belief. And that's typically not the traditional conversation that you sit down with founders and have. The reason why the Village Market and my nonprofit, Our Village United, talk about mindset so much is because we understand what's on the other end of a changed mind and a shifted perception. So we tell entrepreneurs, go ahead and start training your mind about who you are going to evolve and grow to. Change your mind from, I just did 20,000 in a year, that I'm gonna do 20,000 in a month. And then the conversation is, are you operationally ready for that level of scale and growth? But we start everything intrinsic with those founders, because the shift that many of us need to happen. Ryan talks about that we're over-resourced. I say we still need some resources. We still need funding. But if you get the resources and you get the funding, and you do not believe intrinsically here that you are ready for it, that you're equipped for it, that you deserve it, you will fumble. So I make sure that entrepreneurs know what to do with the ball when they get it. And so my team and I work very closely with these founders, and also that conversation around collaboration. If you're the only person that's winning, the village fails. If you have resources and your company is doing well, you should be sharing that back to the community that's working left and right of you. I have a beautiful retail store at Pond City Market that I opened during the pandemic. There's over 40 businesses there. The conversation that we're having with these founders, Play Pits was on the stage earlier today. We make sure that these founders are in relationship and in conversation together. Who's doing your labels? Who's doing your shipping? How can we cut costs as a village, as a community, to go after big buys together? All of that, again, is building community, not just building a company. If at the end of this journey, whatever the journey is for me at the end of it, if I haven't built a community where entrepreneurs know each other by name, know each other's problems in a real way, and we have worked together to figure out how to solve them, if I haven't done that, I've failed as a founder. I'm proud of the $8.2, $8.3 million that we've been able to facilitate in direct sales, people buying from Black businesses. But what I'm most proud of is that I met entrepreneurs 7 years ago who were not in relationship together, and now I see people in each other's weddings, at baby showers, at funerals. We've actually built community, and that is our superpower with the village.
Come on, Dr. Key. Come on, 8.3 million. So for Rashaad, after starting it and growing it independently, how did having an engineer as powerful as Forbes getting behind your Forbes the Culture Initiative benefit you initially? And how have those learnings and access shaped your approach to the Black Excellence Society and TBS Ventures?
That's a great question.
Thank you. I appreciate my flowers too now.
So let me start with learnings, and then I'll kind of like reverse engineer a question. So let's start with learnings. So number one, I would say bigger, contrary to popular belief, that bigger isn't always better, right? A lot of times as entrepreneurs or as creators, we enter spaces, we like create this IP, right? Independently and individually, and we're taught that like success has to be somewhere else, or it has to be validated by someone else in order for us to actually take advantage of the fruits of our labor, right? And that's not and that's not true, and that's not the case. A lot of times we get into situations where we go into these larger organizations that may not necessarily understand what the vision is and shift to their own vision, and that may not be where we were going originally, right? So that's number one. Number two, I would say stay the course and trust your gut. So when I became Senior Vice President of Forbes, it was January of 2020. And as I mentioned, I hadn't had a job or been in a company since 2009, right? So was I hesitant? Absolutely. Did I want to do it? Not necessarily. Did I think it was for the greater good of our 10,000 members? Yes, of course. But 5 months after I did that, were companies and corporations literally raining down money on Black-owned businesses? Yes. Were we able to take advantage of that? No. So sometimes you got to stay the course and trust your gut. And then the last thing that I would say from a learnings perspective, Black entrepreneurs, and you touched on this perfectly, Black entrepreneurs need community, right? Black people, I feel like the black people as a whole need community, but they also need communal resources, and that's the biggest difference between what I created with Forbes the Culture and what we are transitioning to as the Black Excellence Society and TBS Ventures, is that we are the largest Black talent incubation community in the world now. And when I say black talent, I'm not just focused on founders. You can need a job, you can need a scholarship, you could need a grant. It could be other things that are outside of just raising venture capital for your business, but those resources can come from people that are within our own community, and we don't necessarily have to always look outside to find those things. And then I think I said 3, but I got a bonus. I just thought of this one. Parachutes. A strategy, a strategery, as George W. Bush said. God bless his soul. Oh, he's still alive. God bless him. But always have an exit strategy and always have a parachute. Don't ever get too married to anything. If you've never seen the movie Heat, then you should watch that.
Heard you. Well, this kind of aligns with that. And in the interest of time, I want to get through 2 more. So just think about it. Let's talk a little bit quick. I want to talk about money. So that's probably the biggest fear for people when they are trying to take a leap or go out. So my question to you all is, everyone's business requires capital to be successful. What are some key takeaways you can share with our audience today on how they should approach revenue generation? That can be through sponsorship, equity, ticket sales, acquisition. What are some key learnings from your individual experiences about how to get the bag?
I'll be brief because I didn't raise money. I bootstrapped my company in the Village Market, so I can't help you there. But I will say the biggest thing that you can do in a position of making sure that you research and know who's readily in the community with you. The beautiful thing about Atlanta is that we have Black-led funds now. My friends at Collab Capital, then you have Fearless Foundation, and there's many others. But just know that it is being done differently now, and Black people are creating Black funds. So I will look into that. But I bootstrapped my company. That means any person that was hired, anything new, that came out of my pocket for at least 6 years till I got to a place where the revenue was really strong and self-sustaining, but I didn't raise capital.
We had to raise some money. It was about $20 million before we were acquired, and look, it was hard. I mean, we had several rounds, and it was never enough. Like, you're never going to feel like you have enough. There's no perfect number. And nothing beats sales, right? Like, actual customers. At the end of the day, I think there are a lot of founders that spend more time out on the road trying to find a check. Even when you go and talk to the checks, the thing that they want you to go find is a customer. They want you to find some revenue, right? So to the extent that you are trying to figure out your model, focus there. You can eat up the rest of this year going to go pitch yourself, or you can go talk to people who can actually buy this thing right now.
Yes.
And when they come in, total game changer. The company changes overnight when you're able to walk into a room and say, you want to know why this works? It works because these people are here with me. And you have a much easier discussion from that point than constantly talking about what you're going to do. Go do it.
That's a gem, Rashaad.
Be valuable. Well, 2 things. One, be valuable, but then also know how to communicate that value, because that is how you're going to attract people to want to invest or to give you money. It could be even in a sponsorship way. Sometimes a lot of the value is under the hood, and people don't know how to communicate that to people on the outside. One of the probably the most disrespectful things that I've ever been called, but then also I took it as a compliment, was somebody called me a sellout once, and I was like, oh, they think I'm valuable. That's dope. That's that mindset shift. I was like, oh, you think I'm valuable? Oh, I like that. Okay. So now I don't have to communicate it because you're saying it for me. So just make sure that in those things that you're able to explain what the value is to the people that have the bag.
All right, we're doing really well on time. So for my last question, and this is RenderATL, and I do a lot of tech conferences, but what makes this one unique is the engineering focus. So let's talk about some engineering. So when you think about technology, how has it positively impacted your business over the years? And if you had an engineering genie capable of doing anything, what is a problem you're currently experiencing as a business owner that you wish somebody could solve technologically? I'm getting y'all a business idea right now.
Oh, I can tell you. My background is in marketing, right? I've been in digital marketing for almost 20 years. One of the first things that my business did, it was prior to Shopify and all of that, was to help entrepreneurs that had brick and mortar businesses transition to having online stores. And So it definitely has made my business significantly easier as the technology has changed. Remember, I started this, in 2007, and now, now it's 2023. A lot has changed, and if I had to engineer a genie, I do. It's called AI. and now that I understand how to use not just chatbots, because that's just one, that is the lower, y'all know, but that's like the lower end of what these things can do. Now that I understand how to tell it what I want it to do, and I can take the basic framework and then kind of build onto that, I might be the genie. You got 3 wishes?
The Village Market started as a nighttime marketplace, so it was an event. The pandemic happened, it shifted everything. I remember at the end of 2019, we had our largest market to date. And so we were really on our high. We had sponsors for the first time, and a lot of sponsors lined up for the spring. And so as a founder, I had reached that place that you need to go to where you have a high value product. And that's what the Village Market was. And still is, but pandemic happened, I had to shift everything. So I had to convert my model with all these entrepreneurs and put them still in a place, and I put them on an e-commerce site. And spring of 2020, I built the e-commerce site that was very hard. I'm not a techie, but thankfully I had a really good team. And a couple months after that, I opened up my physical retail store at Ponce City Market. Why this has been wonderful. We used to support entrepreneurs 3 times a year in this amazing marketplace. Now we have a model in place where it doesn't matter if you wake up at 1 o'clock in the morning, you can shop from a Black founder. If you want to go to Ponce City Market right now, 7 days a week, we're open. And so technology helped us reach customers. At this point, on a weekly basis, we're reaching about 20,000 customers a week hitting our online channel. And then on the storefront, we have hundreds of people coming every week to actually shop. So we saw technology really meet us where we were in that moment. If I had, AI would be my answer too. We need more people. We want to hire more program managers. That's not a technology solution, so I'm kind of segueing the question to get an ask out there. For those who are not looking to be founders, but looking to work with a great organization, my nonprofit are looking for more program managers because we scaled our Elevate program to 21 different states now. And so we have a great problem in that our education is reaching so many entrepreneurs, but now we need great people to help meet those entrepreneurs where they are.
Yeah, Dr. Key just said come to life row, not death row.
That's what I heard. Ryan, close us out.
First, to the Render team and to Justin, we hosted this conference for 2 years at TGS, and it's super humbling to come back and to see how it's growing still. Thank you to everybody that's a part of it. I've been all day like, wow. Tech, look, we're in the community business. Everything we do at TGS is about trying to connect people, and any tool that we can build to help better facilitate relationships. I think sometimes we talk about the technology as the thing. Like folks will be like, well, we're LinkedIn friends. It's like, we don't have a relationship. So like building tools that actually facilitate real engagement, not the fact that we just like saw each other's faces and updates. So we're in a mode now of trying to deepen those relationships. That's the only reason why the business exists.
Thank you all so much for your time. Hope you have a good one. Charles Kuykendoll, y'all have a great day.